Hi class, this is the last video lesson on 5.5 notes for the first day. There is going to be another day of notes for 5.5 day 2, but this is the last one for day 1. We're going to be doing problems 19, 20, 21, and 22 on this video lesson. So for number 19 and 20, we're multiplying radicals by the distributive property. So you guys know what the distributive property is. It's taking that term on the outside and multiplying it by both terms in the parentheses. So for the first one, it's a piece of cake. 3 times 5 is 15. Now for the second one, remember what happens when we multiply radicals when we have 3 multiplied by a negative square root 2. Now it's going to be very tempting, I think, to put a negative square root 6. This is incorrect. Make sure you do not do that. What you do is you multiply the coefficients by each other. So 3 times a negative 1 is a negative 3, and you multiply the radicals by each other. You don't have a radical here, and so what you have is just the square root of 2. So it's a negative 3 square root of 2. 15 minus 3 square root of 2. So basically, if there's no radical next to the 3, you just tack on the square root of 2 with it. So it's 15 minus 3 square root of 2. So if you guys try this one, pause the video, and you get the square root of 6 times the square root of 11. You actually multiply these two by each other. You multiply the coefficients, which 1 times 1 is just 1. Multiply the radicals. 6 times 11 is 66. So it's the square root of 66 because we're dealing with ones underneath the radical. And now you multiply the outside ones, so you get a negative 2 times square root 6 is a negative 2 square root 6. If some of you put 6 multiplied by a negative square root 2, no, I did that the other way around. If some of you put the square root of 6 times a negative 2, and you got a negative, boy, I'm losing it here, and you got this, the square root of 6, negative 2, you never ever see the radical first with the coefficient coming second. That just never happens. You always have the coefficient first and then the radical second. It's kind of like saying when we say 3x, we never see it x3, right? That just looks dumb. Okay? So put the coefficient first, put the radical second. So for number 20, 66 minus 2 square root 6. If you can, simplify this radical. However, this one cannot be simplified. The square root of 66 cannot be simplified. So you're just going to keep it as the square root of 66 minus 2 square root 6. 21. This one you have a binomial times a binomial. And this is that 4-letter F word, F-O-I-L, FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. So that's how you're going to be doing 21. The first times the first, 3 times 2 is 6. The outside, 3 times square root 6 is 3 square root 6. The inside, 2 times square root 7 is 2 square root 7. And the last, square root 7 times square root 6 is square root 42. And this is your answer, unless, of course, you could simplify anything. But on this one, 6 can't be simplified, 7 can't be simplified, 42 cannot be simplified. So all our radicals are as simple as they can be. So my answer is pretty lengthy, and it is that. Last one, you guys try number 22 on your own. Pause the video, please. All right, 22 was a tricky one. I'm guessing a lot of you did this. The square root of 3 squared, the square root of 5 squared. So you said the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9. And then you got the square root of 9 to be 3. And then you got the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, which is the square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is 5. So you got 3 minus 5 to give you a negative 2. If you did this, you are amongst many other people of your age that do this incorrect. Okay? So let's just get this out of the way right now. This is not the right way to do it. All right? Here is the right way to do it. When we see the square root of 3 minus the square root of 5, that quantity squared. When we see 7 squared, that's the same thing as 7 times 7. When we see x squared, that's the same thing as x times x. So when we see the square root of 3 minus the square root of 5 squared, it's the same thing as the square root of 3 minus the square root of 5 times the square root of 3 minus the square root of 5. It's that binomial times itself. And now what happens when you have a binomial times a binomial? You are right, you FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. So the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, we already established that it is the square root of 9, which the square root of 9 is 3. Outside, square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 5 is a negative square root 15. Inside, 3 times the negative square root 5 is a negative square root 15. And then my last, square root 5 times square root 5 is a negative 5. Square root 5 times square root 5 is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. Oh, and then a negative times a negative, sorry about that, is a positive. So now, simplifying this up, we can combine like terms. 3 plus 5 is 8, and a negative 1 square root 15 minus 1 square root 15. You can add radicals when they're the exact same, so the radicals are the same at square root 15, and a negative 1 minus 1 is a negative 2 square root 15. So my answer is 8 minus 2 times the square root of 15. And like I've said with every other problem on this lesson, you can check your work in your calculator if you so desire. So your assignment that has to deal with these 3 video lessons is objectives 50 through 54. If you want to, you can check all of those by using your calculator. It doesn't take very long, but I certainly encourage you to do it the way, you could just try all of them in your calculator and by process of elimination get the right answer. But I encourage you to do the work that I have showed you in these past 3 videos, because I'm going to be expecting to see that work on a test. If I don't see any work but just the right answer, I'm not going to give you credit for it, because I need to see the work that goes through to getting these answers. So please let me know if you have any questions when you get to class tomorrow.